I was looking at these little foam dishes. These are spread out all over. I'm guessing the birds, probably the crows. I don't think other birds. Crows are the only ones that are quite intelligent. The pigeons and other birds I don't think are very intelligent. But this is several feet from where a bunch more down there. I'm thinking somebody's deliberately feeding the birds. Got no problem with that because I put out stale peanuts. I'm pretty much out of stale peanuts now. Might have one or two somewhere here. Let's bring you back down to Estrella down there. Yeah, sometime I'm going to get down there, hike some of the peaks in the nut part of the park. One lady had told me about a place down there. I was hoping she would call me, just ask me to check something. Just so I'd down there anyway. And hike off the desert, kind of plan for something down there. Of course, she'll probably call me in the middle of summertime, and it'll be too hot to go down there. But if she calls me to look at something in the wintertime, probably hike over. I'd definitely give a different address for this place because she'd made me promise that I wouldn't give the exact address of this place. Actually, you got to hike through the desert for about a mile to get down there. So I'm thinking if anybody's gonna spend that effort to looking for this, because it may not even be there. She told me something was down there. So if somebody's gonna hike through the desert, you can't drive down there. It's all rough country. You can drive part of the way down there, then you got to hike the rest of the way. Somebody's got to put that type of effort into something. They're probably not going to trash it. I have no idea if what she said is there. She didn't know if what she said was there is still there. One thing I went, oh, that's something else. I get friend requests over on Facebook. I usually don't respond to them. Usually refer to them to my YouTube channel. One thing I want to ask right here, I'd comment earlier on shortwave number stations. I just wonder if anybody's listening to AM or FM radio, the over-the-air stuff. Last time I listened to FM radio, so many commercials. Of course, TV's getting that way anymore. Well, there's two problems with over-the-air TV. I don't listen to the cable network. I used to have a, subscription TV. I get to that some other time. And I got the cable news. That's all propaganda. I'm just wondering if anybody's listening to the over-the-air TV and believes the news, or if anybody's listening to FM radio or AM radio and can put up with all the commercials on there. I tell you what I did. I've downloaded a bunch of music videos off of YouTube, put them on a thumb drive. Now I've got this off Amazon for about $40. It's a radio that it'll fit in a single DIN holder. It's got a double DIN display on it. It did work. I had a bunch of my cup holders right in front of it. I had a bunch of tea and pops spilled in there, so it periodically quit for a while, and then it started working again. The audio don't work on it. But I've had this thing about 3 or 4 years. I don't know if the radio stuff is bad. Now my speaker connections aren't very good. I need to go through and make sure it's just not shorted speaker wires, because it could just be shorted speaker wires. That affects radio and the FM, AM radio. This one doesn't have an AM radio. It's the first automotive receiver that I've had that doesn't have an AM receiver on it. I remember the days you would get like an F-150 or an F-250, and that the first thing you did was, when you got your used F-150 or F-250, was pull out the AM only Philco and put yourself a nice FM radio in there. Hey, how many people out there bought a Ford pickup? I'm talking about back in the day, not now, because now they probably got fancy stereos with them, fancy audio systems. How many guys back in the day bought your or no Chevy or Dodge that had like a AM only radio, and first thing you did was dig that out. You put yourself a good FM radio on there. Remember the day when radio was cool? There were cool songs on the radio. It wasn't all advertisements. Of course, I guess the same thing could be said for YouTube, because YouTube is mainly advertisements anymore. But that's how they make their money. That's how they pay the people doing crazy stuff here on YouTube and other social media platforms. I don't know about TikTok or Twitter, not Twitter, but TikTok. I don't see any ads on TikTok, but I don't know if TikTok is paying you anything or not. I haven't been on TikTok long enough. It is cool though. Some cool videos on TikTok and on Kick. Kick is all games though. I've only checked on Kick a couple times. It seems like it's all gamers on Kick. That seems like what it's oriented toward. I'm asking my listeners, are any of you listening to the over-the-air radio? I'm talking about AM radio, 500 kilohertz to 1600 kilohertz, or the FM that's like 88 megahertz to 108 megahertz. The TVs, well, I could look up the frequencies on those, but I'm talking about from channel 2 to channel 72 or whatever it is. Hey, do you remember the days when you had a separate UHF tuner on old click type tuners? You flipped it to UHF and then you twiddled your UHF tuner to whatever channel you wanted, and it went to channel 83. Hey, did anyone ever have an area where the TV stations were above channel 72? Now all they go to is channel 72, and the FCC took that band from channel 73 to 83 and assigned it. I'm guessing it's the combination of cell phone service. It's the upper UHF or frequencies in there. It's from they assigned channels, what was channel 73 to 83, the different services. Anybody remember when we had separate UHF channels? I remember when channel 15 first come on the air here in Phoenix area. I don't know about maybe the late 70s. They'd have a separate tuner. I don't remember what they called it. You'd have to pay for it. Most people pay, or some people paid. Some people were like me and would buy this kit of parts you put together and unscramble the signal. All they did was pull out the sync signal for the video, and they put the audio signal down in the video. They just kind of scramble the signal, but your simple decoder could pick it up and put it back together. And at midnight, they'd play naughty movies. Anybody ever got one of those decoders and picked up channel 15 to watch naughty movies at midnight? Those were interesting times. I have no idea why I'm delving into this. Well, the problem they had is that everybody was building these kits to decode a signal. They couldn't make any money, so they had to stop. Now channel 15 is just a regular over-the-air channel. Well, what they would do, they'd be over-the-air channel about 7, and then from 7 o'clock to midnight, they would play just a number of top movies. Then at midnight, they'd play naughty movies. Very interesting times. Yeah, I remember one time, like, there's a guy had told me where I could get the kit of parts. They had the board that the parts were, and then you could buy the kit of parts. It was $30-40, something like that. And I went in, got the kit, came with a schematic and the parts location of the board. And I asked the lady that was selling it to me, again, it was $30-40, something like that. I said, "Is this to decode channel 15?" And she looked at me, she said, "Well, I'm just selling you a bag of parts. What you do with it is up to you." Clearly, she's trying to get away from any legal problems. I'm sure lots of people were doing it, because they didn't do that for very long because too many people were doing it. Okay, let's keep life exciting and interesting. Bye-bye.